Hello, everybody. Greetings to all. Welcome to the Snooker Hall podcast. I'm Dan Murren. I'm normally a glass half full kind of guy, and I try to be, but I have to say I've been thinking about it today, and this time of year is slightly bittersweet for the snooker community. Some players have seen their seasons come to an end, and others are still writing the final chapter. For fans, we know we'll be treated to 17 days of drama, but then we have to take a break from top-level snooker. It's a mix of emotions. To help provide some perspective, I have a very special guest on the Snooker Hall podcast today. He's a huge snooker fan, a previous guest on this show. He has been described as one of the most insightful voices in snooker. I'm delighted to welcome Gary Moss back to the Snooker Hall podcast. Gary, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me.
Nice.
Great time of year, tournaments all ahead of us, so yeah, in good spirits.
So this idea of bittersweet, do you agree or do you only see the positives?
Of the timing we're at with the tournaments, you mean?
Just I know because some of the players their season's over and it's for them it's kind of a letdown, and for fans as well. We know we've got such a great tournament ahead of us, but after that we kind of have we've got only the drama of Q School, and I'm not a fan of the seniors if I'm honest. So
I think we can park that for now. I think right now we've got 17 days of the best tournament ahead of us. When we get to the final, I'll be excited about the final, but I do always at the start of the final think, oh wow, where did that go? It's nearly over. What are we going to do after these 2 days of the final? But yeah, I think that's two of your glass is too empty to be worrying about that yet, because it's all ahead. All good stuff is ahead.
I was thinking about it this morning and yesterday, and I think the reason is because the qualifiers went so quickly. Like, it doesn't seem like that long ago that Liam Pullen was facing Alfie Burden and Jimmy White was up against Gao Young. It really is flown by. But that's kind of a good thing. It has been good. Like, Judgment Day was great, but the qualifiers leading up to it were mostly pretty good, I would say.
It will. It will. And don't get me wrong, the 17 days are going to go super fast. But at least we aren't coming into the tournament thinking it's going to go really fast and we might be moving for the Crucible. Oh, we are moving for the Crucible. We've got 20 odd editions, or 20 editions left in the new contract. So once this one goes, there's plenty more where that came from, which is obviously great news.
No, you're right. It's one of the big positives that I'd say in 2024 that the whole debate, it did kind of overshadow the tournament a little bit. But last year it wasn't so bad. I think it was a big improvement in the way it was handled last year, and now obviously it's just not going to be a problem. We know that it's secure for a long time, and yeah, it's good for snooker. I can't see it being a good thing to move the championship somewhere else.
No, and I when I was reflecting on the news of it staying, I realised retrospectively that I was probably enjoying the tournament the previous two editions with the handbrake on, because I probably was like, sounds quite dramatic, but I probably was putting pressure on myself to really enjoy it because I knew that it might not be forever, and I'm sort of, that's what I'm looking forward to this year even more, because I'm like, I can really enjoy it just for what it is and know that we're not on this sort of what felt like a mini countdown of last ever Crucibles. So yeah, I was definitely enjoying it with the handbrake on, which wasn't very good, but yeah, this is brilliant, as it should be, back to normality in a way, with it long term future committed, I think.
And yeah, for fans, I think for players as well. I think without the proverbial sword of Damocles hanging over the Crucible, I think I think the vibe this year is just going to be just a cut above what it has been in recent years, even. And it's such a special event, and the Crucible is such a special place. But I think just that release of pressure is just going to bump it up a little bit more. I'm very excited to go. I'm very excited to go this year. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. Obviously, some players will be going to, some players won't be, and that was determined, well, in the final round by Judgment Day. Judgment Days. I'll just call it Judgment Day. I don't like the pedantic nature of Judgment Days. Any highlights for you?
Well, just on that point, Judgment Day or Judgment Days, I can't remember how long ago it changed, but I do remember, and I was talking to someone, because I went to the first Judgment Day this week. The format used to be all the first sessions on the first day, and then all of the second sessions on the second day, which makes it right. Second day is then Judgment Day, because all 16 are there. I don't know why they changed it. I guess it's a bit easier for the players that they're not sort of hanging around and extra nights, accommodation, all that kind of stuff. But also from a media perspective, it spreads out the stories, I imagine. But yeah, it's Judgement days. But yeah, brilliant couple of days. Really, really, really enjoyed it.
And you were at the first one. I would say if I had to choose, in hindsight, I would have picked the first one, yeah. So I think you got the slightly better day. They were both good, but I'd say
Yeah,
the first day was just a little bit better.
yeah, I selected it completely based on work schedule, and I would love to have gone to both, but had to head to Edinburgh on the morning of the Wednesday to work. So sort of following that on my phone and on the YouTube and between stuff. So yeah, completely random in that sense. But yeah, Tuesday probably edged it in terms of the drama of the 2 days, just in terms of who qualified as well, the really big stories as well. So yeah, fantastic, always is. And I think a lot of people have said this online, but hats off to WST because it seems to grow, get better every year, and the amount of people packed in that venue. They might need a bigger venue for the qualifiers now. Yeah, they're really good there.
Yeah, no, that'll be. Would that be ironic, or would that be just? It would be a little bit. Yeah, we can't even fill up. Yeah, we can't even.
We can sell this place 3 times over. Barry will be telling us soon. Yeah, for the qualifiers. So, yeah.
I thought it was the big standout story in terms of on the table was Anthony McGill, 9-4 down and 69-0 down. Needed a snooker, I believe. I didn't actually watch the end of the match, but to come back and win 10-9, that's a pretty impressive effort. I'm not actually a big Anthony McGill fan. I've never gotten over. There are times when I hold a petty grudge, and this is one of them. I've never forgiven him for his behaviour in 2020 against Jamie Clark.
Yeah, okay.
And I think he got a pass for that, but credit where it's due. He stepped up. Don't get me wrong, Martin O'Donnell had some awful news, and condolences to Martin, friend of the show. Wonderful guy. And I don't know how much that affected him. It can't fail to be a factor, I'm sure. But Anthony, that's a memorable comeback for him.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you used the phrase at the start of the pod about bittersweet. Now, that really is bittersweet, isn't it? Because, like you say, wonderful comeback in its own right, like brilliant achievement, a brilliant result from the situation. But then ultimately, he didn't qualify for the Crucible. So, like, is it a little bit in vain? I remember actually reading or listening to an interview with Anthony a few years ago where he sort of said the whole season feels like a downer if you don't qualify for the Crucible or don't do well at the Crucible. So yeah, he probably won't ever really look back on that match with much fondness because ultimately he didn't get to the venue, which is for a player of McGill's standard, he's probably the minimum that he's benchmarking himself to achieve each year when it comes to Sheffield.
Because he is a good player. He's one of those guys, when he's playing well, he is like really, really good. But when he's not, he just makes these silly errors and he'll just miss a ball out of nowhere. So I think there's a big difference between his A and B game, or maybe his C game even. But when he's on it, when he's got the bit between his teeth, he is hard to stop. And he looks so comfortable. Technically, he's really sound. And is he a miss at the Crucible?
He'd probably, at the start of the tournament, if you didn't look at the draw, the tournament, I mean the qualifiers, if you didn't look at the draw and said who's your 16 players you'd want to qualify to make it the best possible Crucible, he'd probably be in everyone's list. But obviously, he happens to be in the same section as Ali, and Ali would probably have been on that list anyway. But yeah, good player, McGill. He's had some great moments at the Crucible. You know when he's playing well because he's a very reliable break builder. When he's playing well, you can sort of put a yardstick down for his game when he's doing that. But yeah, listen, there's a packed cast of 32 great players who are there. So yeah, we'll miss Anthony, we'll miss other players, but don't worry, boy, we've got 32 excellent players there. We can enjoy them.
And speaking of boy, that is a wonderful segue. I love segues. There are some youngsters coming through. This is exciting. Liam Pullen he did really well. Liam Pullen to come through from the first round. He had some tough matches against tough opponents. But not just him, Anthony Kowalski, Stan Moody, of course, young guy coming through. I said last year that it could be the World Championship that provides a changing of the guard, the out with the old, in with, not with the new, but with the next generation. And I'm going to say it again this year. The fact that we've got a group of young guys making their debuts at the Crucible, this is good. We can't rely on that old guard forever. maybe we'll see some upsets from these guys. But so I'm trying to think which performance was most impressive, given the context of Anthony Kowalski's situation and needing to win and needing to qualify to keep his tour card. I'm tempted to say his performance was all round the most impressive. Not that we have to grade it, but he deserves a lot of credit. He stood up there under immense pressure. That's a good sign.
Yeah, and he must have been one of the longest odds to qualify of the players who qualified as well. There's a lot on the line. I saw, he was on the outside table, on the back four tables. I did pop out to watch maybe 2.5, 3 frames of his match. In those particular frames, it was towards the end of the first session. He looked quite nervous, but he was sort of giving all the shots his sort of care and attention. And yeah, was clearly aware. You could tell he was aware of everything that was at stake, but yeah, held himself together really, really well. Jamie was getting quite frustrated quite easily at times, I saw, and I don't know if he expected to win the match or just didn't feel he was quite at his best. But yeah, massive credit to him. I think there's I never predict a player to come through 4 rounds because it's so difficult to do, but there is always a handful who do. Obviously Liam Highfield did as well, but yeah, any player who wins 4 matches, I mean, yeah, hats off, because there really are no easy matches. So yeah, really great.
And against a pro like Jamie Jones, like, he knows every trick in the book. He's seen it all. How many times has he been at the Crucible? A few. He's made the quarters in the past. Like, there were no easy frames against Jamie Jones, but Anthony did win a couple of early frames by nicking a few on the colours.
Yeah,
and the momentum shift that provided, he would gain a lot of confidence from that. Because usually you fancy the more experienced player just to edge those safety battles, but Anthony kind of held his own there, and I was pleased for him there.
Yeah, for sure.
Pleased for him. Yeah. Stan Moody.
Good. I don't know if I missed the memo, but I didn't really hear much about his illness until after he won. And I was watching his match, and well, testament to him. But he didn't look ill to me. I'm not saying he wasn't, but he didn't look ill. He was playing really, really well. It's the first time I've watched him live. I've seen quite a bit of him online on TV, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, really, really positive, quite aggressive player. Clearly, I have to remind myself he's 19, because I feel like I've been speaking about him for quite a number of years. He's still only 19. Like, clearly has a lot of belief in his ability. Clearly a character. There were points when I was watching him, I thought, God, he's very emotional. It's good. We want characters, but I wonder, as he gets older, he has a lot of maturing to do, as everyone has from the age of 19. But yeah, how he handles his emotions on the table could be interesting in the future. But yeah, what a fine young player. And he's under the cosh. He was he lost the first few frames. Was he 4-1 or 3-0 behind? He had to sort of he had to dig in. Played really well, and then the break to win it was outstanding as well. So yeah, loads of talent, and I just think it's great. Not all good to see lots of young players coming through, but to see a couple of British young players coming through, and the scrutiny about how, not the lack of British players coming through, but those that are coming through that look like they can really go to the top level. I think it was really good news, and we sort of needed it really. Need to get some fresh blood, British blood, at the tournament. Hopefully they can prove how good they are when they're there as well, even if they don't win their match, show a little bit.
Well, that's it. And I think it's always, who was it who said, maybe it was Dave Henton who gave a list of players, greats of the game, and they all lost their first match at the Crucible.
Really?
Mark Williams was not among those. He won his first match, but it was Judd Trump, Mark Selby, Stephen Hendry, Steve Davis, all these players. They lost their first match at the Crucible. So clearly it's not an easy place to play. The weight of expectation, the weight of history. If you're qualifying, you're up against an established player. That's, of course, never easy. But Stan, in that match, it was a mix of good and maybe you're right. There is some maturing to do. He was 2-0 down. He should have been 3-0 down. I'm not going to say he got lucky, but he pounced on his opponent's mistakes and he punished the mistakes. And that's kind of half the battle, really. It's not just what you do, it's what your opponent doesn't do.
Yeah.
But there are a few times where, I know he's 19, but he missed the shot with the rest, and he kind of just didn't throw the rest at the ref. But you got to be a bit more respectful than that. I thought it was a little bit petulant, and maybe there's still some learning to do. He does kind of sulk a little bit, and he does mope in his chair. But he's 19. He's clearly not doing that badly. So if it's,
not at all. No,
for him,
not at
he's
all.
progressing, and yeah, it's hard to knock him too much.
Yeah,
But,
the point you made about what Dave said, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I probably could have gone through and maybe thought about it. But yeah, I think the thing with the greats is as well, to their detriment, is because they're so great, they qualify so young, which in a weird way makes it harder for them to win their first game. Not like they're slowly progressing. They qualify at 25. Like a lot of those guys qualifying in their teens, and then there's all of a sudden there is a lot. There's a lot to take in, and you're probably playing very experienced players there. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, that isn't it? Really.
It is, yeah. No, and I've never really considered it that way, but that is why you were described as one of the most insightful voices in snooker. So yeah, it's a good point. And a little factoid that's just come into my head. I think it's still true. The only player to score a century break in their first frame at the Crucible is. Do you remember?
Fergal O'Brien.
It's Fergal O'Brien. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, forwards. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's an interesting little.
Yeah, Zach Sarati. What did Zach Sarati achieve last year? He did some. Did he have 4 centuries? He lost to Ding.
4 centuries.
Yeah.
It was 10-6, 10-7.
I don't know if that was a record as well, but I remember a lot being made of that.
Yeah, because it was him. Daniel Wells was there for the first time as well.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think who did Daniel Wells face? Was it Sean Murphy? I think it was.
Might have been.
I can't remember now. Yeah.
Daniel Wells is one of those players, isn't he? Who sort of qualified, quite into his career. It's quite a late debut. Yeah.
Last point on Judgment Day. I think someone who will be missed at the Crucible this year is Jack Lazowski.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't see it coming. I watched both of his matches, and honestly, he wasn't great against Umut Dikme. And it was at one point, Umut was 6-5 up and somehow made a mistake. All he had to do was, I think it was 2 balls, and he would have been 7-5 up. And Jack, you never know with Jack, he might feel that pressure. But he went in after putting the brown. Jack cleared up 6-6, and that was a massive turning point. And then it was 10-7 in the end. So Jack, it really swung the momentum in Jack's favour. Umut with a 2-frame advantage, 7-5. You never know. But he took so long to get going against Hugo Chang, I think is how you pronounce it. And he was 5-0 down. It could easily have been 6. And don't get me wrong, he did well to kind of rally and come back a little bit. But he left himself too much to do. But it'll be missed. I like watching Jack play. He's fun.
Yeah, he's a good player to watch. I mean, that's what you want, don't you? You want flair players as well as sort of the more hardened match players. But yeah, the tough year off the table as well. I'm not saying that's directly responsible for it, but I guess he probably hasn't had the ideal year generally. But a miss. But as I say, he'll be back, and also there's lots of people in the draw to be excited about. I can't remember back to my qualifier predictions. I would certainly have predicted him to win the Judgment Day game, but I don't think I had him as the qualifier in that section. I think I had Sam Craigie, which went terribly wrong. I think based on the season he's had and what's been going on off the table, I think I've had that as a section where maybe it might be a little more open and less of a foregone conclusion. And well done to Tim, another debutant there.
With Jack Lazowski, there was so in the previous episode I spoke with Dave Tyndall, and he has an algorithm, and it takes in so many factors. I don't know if you listened to the episode or not. We'll pretend you did, but it takes in so many factors. One of them is how you did the previous year, over the previous seasons, how you've done up to the Crucible that season, in the previous 3 events, have you made a semi-final? And based on all of these factors, because Jack has won a ranking event this season, he has made a semi-final in the last 3 ranking events. He didn't make the semi-final stage last year. He's played a certain number of matches this season. He hasn't overdone it, but he's not undercooked. apparently he would have been second favourite to win based on Moneyball statistics.
Wow, okay.
He would have been second favourite after John Higgins, if you just look at the stats. But so that's on paper. But in reality, could we really say that Jack Lisowski was second favourite to win? Why not? Like, he's clearly a wonderful player when he gets going, but you never know with his mentality. But that's kind of why he's fun. I like Jack Lisowski. I think he's really good for snooker, and I'm pleased he had his crowning moment earlier in the season. That was good for him. It was good for snooker as well.
Yeah, I think people with Jack, they tune in. You want to tune in and watch him, but I think there's been so many, bless him, there's been so many moments of despair, and I feel like a lot of fans have sort of been there with him for that. And it's like, yeah, you just want it to turn for him. And obviously, his best friend is Judd, who's had his fair share of success on his behalf. But I don't know if if you look at their records, I don't know if there's that much between them in terms of talent. And then one's on that side and one's on the other. So it's the way it goes. And
it shows the fine margins between good and great, and that's one of those intangible factors that you can't measure. Yeah. So you are heading to the Crucible this season?
I am. I've done a different tact this year. I decided, in hindsight, kamikaze, I decided not to book any tickets a year ago when they came out. And I thought I'd do the whole returns piece, which I've dabbled with, but I normally book a block of tickets. But yeah, I decided just to freewheel it and just see what happens. And yeah, I'm there Sunday and Monday, so a couple of days of the first round. I returned for some of the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals are my favourite round. In some previous years, I've done the full 6 sessions in 2 days, which I love. But I'm there for that. And then I've picked up a couple of sessions for the semi and one for the final. So I've got a nice mix. So I feel like I'm probably in the arena less than I normally am, but I'm sort of heading over to Sheffield more frequently. So that should keep it nice and fresh for me. And I get to just dip in and out of Sheffield and enjoy it in a different way. So yeah, see how I enjoy it and then decide what to do with my tickets next year. But yeah, got 5-6 days at the venue. So really look forward to that.
And you mentioned enjoying the city. That's a good point because, and you mentioned that this would be a good talking point, and I completely agree. So credit to you for this. The vibe around the city is something special.
It is.
But this might not be the greatest thing to say on a podcast, an audio service, but it's hard to put it into words. Like, there is a vibe, but it's not completely in your face. Like, you know that something's happening. Like, you see little posters around town, and you might see the odd snooker player here and there. And if you're undergraduate, you'll get chatting to someone like you. You know the game inside and out. You can always find someone to have a chat with about snooker. And
yeah, it's great.
I do love that attitude that snooker fans have. There's no snobby attitude. It's, do you want to chat about snooker over a beer? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Every time I've been to Sheffield, due to circumstances in my own life, I moved away. So for about 10 years, I wasn't in Sheffield. But I was last year for the first time in over a decade. And I loved it. I just loved it. And I realised what I was missing. And don't get me wrong, you can't base your whole life around the Snooker World Championship. But if it's doable, it's such a pleasure. I would recommend it to anyone. If you can swing it just for a day or two, it's worth it. Just to, even in the garden outside the Crucible, just watch the match with a beer. With like-minded people, it's nice. It's a community, and it sounds like a cliche, but it is.
Yeah, even if you haven't got tickets, I'm really lucky now. Since moving, I'm 35 minutes in the car away, so if there's a sunny afternoon and I've not got a ticket, I'll happily drive over there and watch a bit of on the screen outside and all that kind of stuff. I think we've been going there for so long now. The city's small enough that snooker really does take over. Just being in cafes and overhearing most conversations been about snooker is really, really nice. Sometimes you go to Berlin, you go to London, you go to Manchester, the snooker's gobbled up by everything else going on there, but actually snooker overtakes Sheffield temporarily, which is really, really nice. And that's the enormity of the event as well. But I just think everyone's just got so many, just got memories of all the cafes, the restaurants. I walk in the Graduate and I remember being there the night that Stephen Hendry had retired and playing pool with certain other people in the snooker community. And there's other nights where I remember eating with my dad there when I was young and one of my first, there's memories on every corner. It's just great. It's a great place to sort of hang out and be and really sort of, absorb it all in. It's great.
One of my memories from last year was I walk in with my wife and she says to me, I think those guys saying hello to you. I was like, and I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, whatever. So we went over and then I actually see, oh, it's Gary Moss.
Yeah.
Chatting with Phil Haig. And you were actually saying hello. And I didn't mean to be rude. I apologise. But saw you eventually. But
it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's just little things like that. And that pool table in the Graduate.
It's a shocking table, but
it's awful, but it's still fun. But that's kind of part of the fun. It's like you hit that ball, it's not going straight. So,
no, definitely, yeah. Completely separate.
Was it you who told me you beat Ken Doherty on that table?
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I've never lost to him on that table. I'm unbeaten to Ken Doherty on that table, but I've never beat him. No, I've never played him. Yeah, I don't know who that was, but that's quite a.
Somebody told me they beat Ken on that awful pool table.
I played Jan Verhaas on the Novotel pool table. I don't think they've even got a pool table, but in the Novotel, that was even before the Mercure. I think it must be 2004, and I went to the semi-finals. It was Dot Stevens and Hendry and O'Sullivan. I was there with my dad. I was a youngster then. I was, sort of 14, 15. But yeah, I had a frame of pool with Jan Verhaas in that bed. I can't remember if I won or lost. I suspect I lost, otherwise I definitely would remember. But yeah, not played Ken on that stage, but maybe one day.
Well, Ken's pretty handy with a cue, obviously.
Yeah.
From what I hear, Jan Verhaas is not too shabby.
Yeah.
I hear he's kind of decent. So if you did win, then well done. That's not a bad notch on the belt. Is that the expression? No, that's not it. Feather in your cap. That's the one. Not a bad feather in your cap. Yeah. But in the Crucible, any matches in the first round you're looking forward to specifically?
Yeah, well, I think
actually, I've got a better idea. I have to do a little bit of negativity. Are there any matches which underwhelm you first, and then we can talk about the positives?
Underwhelming. I'm gonna have to pick a couple of players to have a go at. No. I don't know. Hawkins and Stevens is a great match. I'm not sure it'd be my favourite to watch. I don't know. Yeah, it's really, really difficult. Just looking down the list now. Sejar William for 5. Yeah. I don't know what C's form's been like. And yeah, that one maybe towards the bottom of the list. But
I can't
yeah,
remember
I think they're all great. I'll be clutching at straws to pick one really. But there's a couple of names that I've unfairly put in there. But I think they're all a storyline in themselves. Yeah. What about you? Then you must have a strong opinion on one you're not looking forward to.
I think a lot of people have said that they're looking forward to Mark Selby, Jack Jones, and I'm a massive Mark Selby fan. I think he's all-time great. I think he's brilliant for snooker, but he's not in great form. If I'm not mistaken, since he won the UK Championship, he has 1 victory in ranking events since then. So he's not in good form, and I just can't. I struggle to enjoy Jack Jones matches, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Great player. He's got a decent record at the Crucible, recent finalist. But that one, when I hear that it's the match to look out for, the standout match, Dave Hendon himself said it on his podcast today. I disagree. It doesn't overwhelm me. And given how Mark Allen has been playing recently, again, huge fan. Mark Allen versus Zhang Anda might be a...
Yeah, but then, I might have said that, but then look how well Zhang played in for 5 centuries. So I think there's something for everyone.
Yeah. There is, I would agree. That's the positive way to look at it. Any particular standouts for you? Anyone that you're really, it's like, I'm watching that?
Well, the first thing I always do is have a look at what games I'm at. One of the ones I'll be at is Higgins and Ali. So looking forward to being in the arena for that one. Really looking forward to watching Will Yiza, whoever he had drawn. I like him. Looking who else? Kyron and Stan Moody, brilliant match. yeah, Gilbert and Ding's a hard one to predict, but that could be good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many in there.
So Ding, if he gets through, will come up against, well,
Zhao Jintong.
Zhao Zhentong or Liam Highfield. So you said to me that maybe it's fate that the godfather of Chinese snooker is up against the current, what do we say, the current golden boy, we might say,
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
gold of well, not just of Chinese snooker, of snooker.
Mm.
Is maybe it's a little bit late for a passing of the torch, but it is kind of there's not. It's only what 10 years between them in terms of age, but it is kind of a clash of generations, really.
Yeah.
If it does come to pass,
Well, they're in the massively different stage of their careers, aren't they? One who's got it all ahead of them, and one you wonder whether his best days are probably are behind him. But yeah, yeah. Sometimes I just look at the draw and I just think, oh, there's a little bit of fate to that tie will happen. It feels a bit like that. I mean, it's a hard one because everyone sort of is predicting Zhao will sort of be the favourite. Yeah, well, he's the favourite. And he, partly because of last year, didn't fear anyone, probably for reasons last year that he was particularly like that. People expected him to be like that again, but just wonder when he's playing Ding. It's a player he's clearly going to have looked up to and respected. Like, if there's someone who he might have a bit of a mental block against, might be Ding. But yeah, I think it'd be just a great match. And sometimes when I see the possibility of him, like, that's too good not to happen. You'd probably actually have to make Gilbert a slight favourite in that one, given Ding's not really been around too much this season, not done a great deal. But yeah, I just feel that tie looks like it will happen. Yeah, what's a betting man?
well, I'm going to disagree. I don't think Ding will make it through. I think Dave Gilbert will win it with something to spare. Actually,
Okay.
he played Aaron Hill. Aaron Hill not at his best in that qualifier. Dave didn't really have to go into overdrive to beat him. I think Dave has a lot more in the tank, and I think once he gets going, he's a good player as Dave Gilbert. Like,
Yeah,
you
he's a
don't
good
make
player. Yeah.
two semi-finals unless you're, and he was one frame away from the final. Was it 7 years ago now? 2018 or 2019? I think it was 2019, wasn't it?
Mm.
So he's clearly got it in him, and he's only a more experienced player now. Like, he's not over the hill by any stretch.
Mm.
I think he
Yeah.
could be a dark horse to have a good run, David Gilbert, actually. Like, he's got the experience, he's clearly got the game. And I think in terms of mentality, if he's feeling it, he can be strong. But if he's not, he gives up. But he looked motivated on Judgment Day. So I think he, and of course the other one, Zhao Zhentong, Liam Highfield, you'd put, no disrespect.
It's a dream draw, isn't it? It's a dream draw. Let's not be trying to kid ourselves on that. There's no disrespect to Liam, but it's a great draw. As someone he's been there a few times. He's got to play on Saturday. I think as a qualifier, you don't really want to play the defending champion. Get all your game done the first day. It could be over before it's sort of begun. Been there 3 or 4 times, and
this will be his 4th visit to the Crucible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably feels like he's won it by getting there. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, a good draw. It's a good draw. One of that draws, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, without sounding disrespectful, if that turned out to be 10-4, 10-5, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
No.
But you never know. It might, but I can't see it. I can't see it. Yeah, the match that actually, well, there are a few that stand out to me, and some of them are young versus old, but more experienced. So less experienced versus more experienced, we'll say, to be polite. And one of them is Kowalski-Williams. Williams, on paper is going to be the favourite, but I wouldn't be massively surprised to see a 10-7 win for Kowalski there. All right, you saw the emotion that he expressed after he qualified. He sat in his chair and he said, "I'd never cry," or something like that. But he's a young guy. What he achieved just to maintain his tour card is pretty impressive. He'd beaten some good experienced players on the way. Like, that's got to give him a lot of confidence. And if Mark Williams is to be believed, like, he's old, he can't see anymore, he can't pop balls, his eyes don't work, whatever he says, I don't believe it for a minute. But if he says it often enough, maybe he might start believing it. You never know. And it wouldn't... I think Mark will be the favourite, but it's not out of the question that Anthony could nick that.
I disagree. I think I think that's one of the most obvious pleading wins. Personally, I mean, Williams been saying that stuff for years. I think his temperament's. I think the older he's got, his temperament's more suited to the Crucible. You know, in terms of sort of tips up, plays cards. You know, hangs out in the venue, family's there, his kids, his wife, and he turns up and plays. It's not dark arts, but I think he gets players at it. I think I'd expect him to win that personally. Yeah, I think it's great. But yeah, might be wrong.
Something Ronnie O'Sullivan said a few years ago now. He was asking who's the best long potter, who's this, but when he said who's the best safety player, he said Mark Williams. I thought, it's not a bad shout because you wouldn't think it. The obvious answer is Mark Selby, or it's when you've played that many matches, you've got that much experience and that much success as well. And maybe he has had to adapt his game ever so slightly. Well, not ever. He has had to adapt his game as the years have passed. But he's smart enough, and he's just got that instinct, which I think sometimes you can't teach. He has it, and he just knows how to play. And I said recently, he's like that. Even when he's not playing at his best, he's like that old guy in the pub on the pool table who somehow will beat you, and you've still got 6 balls left. And he's like, "Well, how did that happen?" But it's like that. He can get things done. One of my reasons for thinking that there might be an upset there is he made it to the final last year, and it was a good run. Some good wins. He beat some good players, and he beat a mixture of players. He beat John Higgins in that classic match, but he beat Wu Yizer as well. He's shown that he can beat a variety of players in different ways. But has he faced someone like Anthony? Because I would say Anthony's style is different to someone like Wu Yizer. I don't know if he can prepare for that. But
he's seen it. He's seen it all. He's seen it all. He can deal with anything. I mean, yeah, we'll see. And that's what I mean, though. But just, someone, I'm not saying I'm in this camp, but if you'd ask me, I see that as quite a routine win for the seed, and therefore might have it towards the lower end of the 16 games I'm looking forward to. And there's you've presented a reason why it might not be. So in terms, every game will have a story, and you don't want to take your eyes off any of it, because as soon as you think one of the games isn't the story, then that's the minute you miss out.
Yeah, only Mystic Meg knows. Yeah,
no, exactly.
We've just got to talk about a couple of another few highlights for me in the draw. Liam Pullen, Chris Wakelin. Chris Wakelin, obviously good play. He's won a tournament this season. We made that semi-final in Saudi Arabia as well, so that really helped his ranking. That probably boosted him into the qualifying spots in the end. But he's had a good season, but there was a little while where he kind of went missing, I think. And then he just suddenly turned up again in Edinburgh. He played well in that final against Changbin Yu as well. But I think if you'd offered Liam Pullen any one of the seeds, I think he would have taken Si Jiawei or Chris Wakelin, in my opinion. Now, I didn't ask him that directly, but I did get a message from Liam the other day after he won, and he seems to be in good spirits, and I think he should be, because he did really well. He stepped up under pressure there. And to beat someone like Alfie Burden, who again is one of those wily odd characters, if you're going to beat him, you've got to win. You can't just hope to get through just on flair and potting ability. You need to know how to play, and I think that will stand him in really good stead. Against Chris Wakelin, I give him a shot. He won't be the favourite on paper, I agree, but it's not inconceivable that he could take out one of the seeds there.
Yeah, I think, there's 4 debutants, aren't there? And let's be honest, when someone qualifies for the first time at the Crucible, it's a stab in the dark. Are they going to hit the ground running, or are they going to, not produce their best, or kind of thing? One of them 4 will probably win. You would suggest that one of them will win. I
think it's a good chance, yeah.
And Liam's got a good chance. I saw a bit of him at Judgement Day and looked really, really good. Wakeling's quite reliable, quite unfazed. Yeah. Wakeling's probably not Liam's probably quite happy with the draw. Wade's probably quite happy with the draw. So, they both fancy the chances, which actually should make for quite, good game because they'll both be trying to win it, going for it. So, yeah, it could be a good match.
Yeah. But the highlight for me, the match I'm truly, truly looking forward to the most, and it might not be the one that stands out most, but for me, it is the one. It's Gary Wilson, Judd Trump. Especially after Judgment Day, there's so many narratives running through that. Judd is under pressure because he's won a tournament this season, he's made a few finals. This idea that he's done is just nonsense. It's nonsense. You don't make four, is it 4 or is it 5 finals this season? It's a few anyway. You don't make it to that many finals if you're done. And okay, he didn't put up a great fight against Zhao Xintong in the Tour Championship final. Fine. But that's not necessarily a barometer for success at the Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see how Judd Trump is finished. But at the same time, Gary Wilson, that Judgment Day match, what a match it was. I'm going to say he was cruising, but he had a healthy lead. And then he let it slip. But in that deciding frame, he showed bottle and class. Was it a century break in the end, or was it was some? If not, it was close. But under pressure, having endured the comeback from Zuse, he still had it. He still had the ability and the composure to pull off a break like that. And I did feel sorry for his opponent, if I'm honest, because you come back from that far down only to lose it at the death. That's got to be tough to take. But Gary Wilson's going to be feeling like $1 million right now. I think he could give Judd Trump a really good game. And I'm going to predict it right now. I think Gary Wilson's going to win that match.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Judd Trump will go out of the first round.
Wow, that'd be quite something, wouldn't it? But
it would be a slight upset, but it's just everything that's running through, the few narratives that are running through. Judd is the world number one, but in this calendar year, 2026, he's got a lot of points coming off if he doesn't step up and continue to perform. So at Saudi Arabia this year, he got no points despite having won all of those points the year before. What did he do in the UK this season? I can't remember. But he didn't win it anyway. Did he make the final? He did, didn't he? He was up against Mark Selby. But with all these stories about tip problems, cue problems, I'm going to call it. I think Gary Wilson's got that one. 10-7. That's my prediction right now.
It's a bold one. I like it.
It is bold. Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with sticking your neck out every now and again. So, yeah.
I just think Gary was very self-deprecating after his win. I mean, he's never the happiest of characters, is he? He's always a bit downbeat on himself. But yeah, he didn't seem in the happiest of places. But yeah, you don't need to be happy to be winning games necessarily. But yeah, he seemed a bit fed up. Yeah, don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
And just before we go into final winner, like who's going to win, one more question about this first one. Well, I suppose it will be determined by what we've seen in the draw. Do you have anyone who you think could be a dark horse and have a deepish run? We'll say by deep run, we'll qualify that as, say, quarterfinals or beyond.
Yeah,
I may not be on paper the favourite to get there.
Yeah, I've got in the top half of the draw. I like the look of Panjin Siu and Zhou Yilong. Panjin Siu plays Neil. I think it's a really bad draw for Neil. We can get into that if you want. If it's a really bad draw for Neil, and I think Pan could win that. Well, I think his record is wretched, isn't it, at the Crucible compared to his ability. That's an understatement. It's a little bit in his head that the tournament. It's one of those where I think if he actually made the one table, weirdly, all of a sudden he could become favourite because he'd be really comfortable in that venue when it expands out and gets bigger. I think he sort of needs, as a result of that, he needs a match where he can maybe not play his best and get through. And Pang, who is a really good player, isn't he? He's made no mistake. He's qualified 4 times in a row. That's not that doesn't happen by accident. Play Jackson Page and Judgment Day, and Jackson was sort of ahead at one point and looking stronger. But you got to beat, if you're going to beat Payne, you've got to beat him. You've got to put him away. And he's very good temperament. It doesn't matter what happened in the frame before, he'll be there and can get those 10 frames. So yeah, I think he's got a good chance. And then Zhou Yilong, I think I quite like his section, playing Zhao Guodong in the first round, and potentially Sean Murphy or Fang Zheng Yi. I saw quite a bit of him at Judgement Day as well. Thought it really good. It's a good season, really. Really neat and tidy, smart player, clever break builder. I just think he's a really sort of good, solid player, and someone will come from the pack, and he could beat Zhao Guodong and Sean Murphy. Sean needs to be firing to win. They're not two matches that I think Zhou Long could win, and then probably have to play Zhao Xintong at the next point. But yeah, I think those two could be two to watch out for getting to the quarterfinals.
The Pang Chun-Tzu factor that's a good point. That's a very, very good point, even, because I'm a fan of Pang Chun-Tzu. I thought at the start of the season, I predicted that if there were to be one of the younger Chinese players who would come through and start winning tournaments, Wu Yizi would be one of them. But I thought if it was someone else, it would be Pang Chun-Tzu over Si Jiawei. I think he's just a good player, and he's not the most flair type player, and he's not the most outrageous shot maker, but I find him strangely entertaining to watch. I like watching his matches because you hear this word used about him a lot, methodical. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone plays in a different style, and if it works for him, good. But I think there is a lot more to come from Pang Chun-Tzu. He made the second round last year. He didn't put on much of a fight against Ronnie O'Sullivan last year, but he beat Zhang Anda in the first round in what was a total slog. It was not a fun match. So and as you said, he's got the temperament for it. But he also has the ability to just put away frames. Like Jackson Page is a dangerous player. But he found, honestly, it wasn't a close match in the end. I think the scoreline probably flattered Jackson a little bit there. Pang Chun-Tzu was far superior, and this is like Jackson Page. He's no mug, but it's
a good result.
And when you add in the Neil Robertson at the Crucible factor, is it in his head? I mean, it's hard to argue. It's come up a few times, but when you add all the pieces together, it's kind of primed for an upset. But it's those intangibles that you can't measure, and that's the fascinating thing about sport, really, not just snooker. But
and then to my point earlier, Pang could then play Wakelin or Pullen in the second round, which, again, if Pang was to get through, that would be flip of a coin type match as well. So before there's no easy games, but those two matches, you're like, well, I could see Pang having a good chance of winning both of them all the time you are in a quarterfinal.
Yeah, but if you've got two surprise quarterfinalists, then you've got a surprise semi-finalist, definitely, and that's it's No, Pang Chun-Tzu, that's a good shout actually. I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan, but I don't think he'll win the tournament.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I don't think he will. If he does, fair play to him. I'll tip my hat, but I wouldn't be placing a bet on him to win the tournament. Who's your pick?
Well, I feel very silly now. I'm going to pick Judd Trump after you absolutely dismantled his chances earlier. I mean, I think the really intriguing thing about this tournament this year is that all of the key contenders, I think you can make an argument of why they won't win it. And either one of them is going to win it despite that limitation or reservation. So maybe someone will win it and be like, oh, they won it, but it didn't feel like they, were vintage at their best, or someone's going to park their issues or whatever that drawback is and put that point away. And I guess when I look at what the reasons why Trump won't win it are, I think he can overcome them. There's, Q-tip issue. He's still been getting results. I think he's just too good, I think, not to be able to win matches even if there's adversity in them. He sort of can win lots of different matches now. He never really seems to like rattle through the early rounds easily at the World Championship. He was over behind or in one or that kind of stuff. So he's used to that sort of the rigour and the battle going along there. So I think he's sort of used to that. He's just a really bloody good player, isn't he? And world number one for a reason. One of the titles he has. Some people seem to think, there's pressure on him to win a second and become multiple. I mean, of course, there's pressure on the world number one going into this tournament, but I don't.
Pressure on all the players.
I think he will. I think he will win multiple. And when was it? 2019. He's 7 years on now. I think it's time for him to win another one. And I think, actually, given what I said earlier about there being reasons why other players won't, I mean, that might be a reason why he can come through and beat them. I just didn't want to predictably go for Zhao Jintong. I think. There's probably less of a reason why he won't win it than others, and that's a little bit of recency bias. But what a season he's had winning those three, players, events, all that kind of stuff, being fearless. The pressure there will be pressure for him at some point, and I think there was reasons why he handled that pressure really, really well last year. I don't know. I just don't think snooker's that easy or simple anymore. I don't think it's that easy, that simple generally to say someone's going to come through. You look at the last three winners. The last three winners have been first-time winners. So I could sit here and give you another first-time winner, or say someone who hasn't won it for a while. So to all of a sudden think we're going to go from three first-time winners to someone winning it back-to-back, I'm just personally not convinced. That's my point. So I'll go for Judd. But interestingly, when I looked at the draw, when I made not predictions, but when I thought what could the possible semi-finalists, I actually thought it's not inconceivable to have the same semi-finalists as last year, which would have been Judd and Williams in one half, and Ronnie and Zhao in the other. But actually, where I landed on was Ronnie and Zhao in one semi-final, which is a repeat, and then Kyron and Judd in the other. But when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, hang on, I don't know if that's happened before. Probably has at some point. But not beyond the realms of four semi-finalists was last year, potentially.
Surely that's never happened before, right?
Should have done my research and look, but I wouldn't have thought so, but maybe. Anyway, what about you? Who's your winner?
Well,
not Jack Trump. He's losing to Gary Wilson.
Well, I don't think he'll win it. No, I think he'll go early. But then again, I also predicted him to lose in the first round last year against Zhou Yulong, and he won. I think it was 10-4. So,
well, you keep predicting it. You eventually may lose in the first round.
Yeah. Even Stephen Hendry lost in the first round eventually.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I keep predicting it, I went through a phase of every tournament I was predicting who's going to win it. Mark Allen, and eventually he did. He won the shootout. So it's who's going to win it? It's wide open this year. It is wide open. There's so many contenders. You still really can't discount Ronnie O'Sullivan. He showed at the World Open final. Okay, Tepe beat him in the end, but he played some really good snooker in Yushan. And there's always that fear factor. Maybe he's not truly at his prime level anymore, but he still has that fear factor. And I do think that gives him automatically just gives him not a little head start, but it's worth a few frames, especially in those long matches. You can't discount him. The favourite group, I think Kyron will be among them. And I do think Zhao Zintong will have a good run. If I had to pick one player to come through, honestly, I do think Zhao Zintong will do it. I do think he'll do it. And especially the fact that he's got a favourable draw in the first round. But then people said that about Kyron last year, Lei Pei Fan. But Lei Pei Fan won a tournament. He won the Scottish Open. So I do think there is a slight difference in context there. Liam Highfield, with respect at the moment, he's not challenging to win tournaments. And he did well to make it. But as you said, I think that's if Zhao could have picked an opponent, maybe he would have picked Liam. But I think it will ease him into the tournament. I think even if he doesn't play at his best, he can still come through that 10-6. And then suddenly, boom, he's in.
Yeah. The benefit of playing day one is then you get a massive gap to round two.
Yeah. Especially as champion, he will have that advantage. And if there are some nerves and things he has to work on, he'll have a few days. I think the stage is set for the curse to be broken. And I do think is this? I don't know if there is an emotional connection here, but now that we know that the Crucible will be the host venue for the championship for years to come, will that take the pressure off the player who is cursed, so to speak? Because before there was only a few more years. What if no one does it? Oh, the pressure's on me. But now we know we've got it for another 20 odd years. Maybe it would take it. But then, does the curse even mean anything to Judgement? There's so many factors. I think he'll come to and do it though. I think we'll have a repeat winner, and I think the curse will be put to bed. That's my call.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Good prediction.
But I'm really looking forward to it. You're going to be at one of the final sessions, you said?
I am. Yeah, I'm doing the third session, which is the Monday afternoon. Yeah. It's a great session. I mean, it's obviously a key one, isn't it? You always worry booking the last session. You get to see the trophy lifted, but you might not get many frames. So if it's very close, the third session is great because it really positions yourself for the final session. But then if it's really one-sided, you almost see the person near enough winning it. So yeah, it's a perfect session. So that's what I'm going to.
Getting too much into logistics now, but are you going to be there the evening before?
The Sunday night. I'm going to come on the day. I can't remember what I'm doing on Sunday. But yeah, now I'm only a 35-minute drive away. I'll do a couple of overnights, but I'll be coming up on the afternoon. It'll be a 1 o'clock session, won't it? 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock probably. So I'll just travel over in the morning, but get there nice and early, get some breakfast and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Oh, I was going to say if you were there the night before, meeting a graduate for a pint, but maybe not after the session. It'll have to be an after session pint.
Yeah, we'll do something. I'll be in the graduate at some point.
Okay, I'll be there. Yeah. So
nice.
Wonderful. Right, Gary, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Good insight, and I've got a few different ways of thinking about this actually. So, but that's why I like talking about snooker. I hear an opinion, it's like, yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, something I didn't think of, or that's why I like doing this podcast. So, fantastic. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and
see you in Sheffield.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Gary.